today. So very exciting, kind of one of those necessary evil platforms, of course. So let me go ahead and get my screen shared for you so you can kind of see what I'm going to do is, but I should introduce myself first. My name is Femia. I am the marketing coordinator for Schoeneck and King. I do social media management. I produce our podcast for the firm-wide, but I also am based out of Buffalo. So I manage all the marketing efforts from our Buffalo office, including, and this goes for firm-wide, helping anybody with their LinkedIn profiles, because I'm also a certified online profile expert for LinkedIn. So I completely understand that it is a necessary evil, but it is a very important and powerful tool if you use it correctly. So we're going to go over some basics to kind of get your profile looking really good and make you very searchable for people on LinkedIn. And then I'm going to give you some tips to help market yourself and networking and kind of go from there. So I'm going to share my screen here. Can everyone see that okay?
We can see it. Thank you.
All right, so this should look familiar if you're on LinkedIn. This is your news feed. This is kind of your homepage. Everything kind of filters here, any information, any updates, anything that people share, comment on, like, will show up in your news feed. The first thing that I'm going to do before getting to your profile is to go over a couple of privacy settings. This can be a little confusing for people, so I wanted to show you exactly where I'm working. So you can get to this by clicking on your face in the upper right-hand corner where it says Me, Settings and Privacy. This is where you can update all of your settings information. I'm not going to go too deep into privacy settings, but this is where all of that information lives. Any kind of, if you want to update your email, if you want to update anything else, all happens on this page. The first thing I'm going to talk about though is the visibility here. So this is where when people get a little confused on this, because you get those notifications that so-and-so viewed your profile page, but you can't see it, or anonymous person viewed your profile page. That here is where you can kind of manage that. It's under this profile viewing options. So I am personally set as anonymous because I'm going in and kind of looking at people. So if you are set to anonymous, this means, Tom, I'm going to pick on you because you're the first person that is not showing on my little video feed here. So for example, so Tom, if I come and look at your profile page, because I'm set to anonymous here, you would get a notification that anonymous LinkedIn user viewed your profile page. So you can't see that it's me that viewed your profile page. Now, to kind of ding you a little bit for being set to anonymous, this means that I can't see who's viewed my profile page. So I'll get those notifications, 20 people have viewed your profile, see who they are. Well, I can't do that if I'm set to anonymous. I can, however, see that if I'm set to public. And you can see here, you can click back and forth between these as much as you want. So for example, if you're going in and you're kind of looking at other people's profile pages, and I highly recommend doing that when you are developing your profile. No sense in reinventing the wheel. Find somebody else who has a well-developed profile, see kind of how they've developed it, any kind of, you like the way that they format XYZ, you can do that, but you can set yourself to anonymous for an hour, do some research, come back in here to settings, set yourself back to public here, and then you can then see who's viewed your profile page. Some people put a lot of weight into who's viewed your profile page. If it's the right people, that's fine. Sometimes I'll get messages saying so-and-so viewed my profile page. It could mean nothing. It could be a good thing. Just kind of depends. But it is kind of nice to see that people are coming and looking at your profile. And hopefully after this session, you guys go in and update your profile pages. You should notice that those profile views kind of increase. So going back here to my homepage, just a little IN at the top is your homepage button. Now we're going to go to the fun part, your profile page. This, you can get to your profile in one of two ways. Both involve clicking on your face. So you're either going to click here, view profile, or you can just click on your face over here. So this is what your profile looks like when you are in the edit mode. You can see I've got all these little pencils going up and down. I've got a few extra things here. Those don't show up when somebody is viewing your actual profile page. We're going to kind of go top to bottom here on your profile. You can't have a cover photo. You can see our firm does a branded LinkedIn cover photo. Some firms have that, some firms don't. It is perfectly fine to leave it the generic LinkedIn background. Most people do. Just be kind of aware of the pictures that you post. If you don't do like a firm branded one or a personally branded one, just keep in mind that hopefully a bunch of people are going to be coming and looking at your profile page. You do want to have a photo. It's pretty significant, the difference between your profile without a picture and one with a picture. It kind of just personalizes your page a little bit more. The most well-developed profile, completely filled out from top to bottom, will still not look complete without a profile picture. So you can go ahead and add that here. And if you just click on this section, you can kind of modify and edit. They now have like different frames and different stuff that you can add. Personally, don't like it. You can edit. You can add filters. I don't like that part of it personally. I don't think that's what LinkedIn is for. It's not a fashion show. It's your professional development site. The next part that I think is a very impactful part, and even if you do very little from this presentation, I highly recommend that this be one thing that you do, is edit your headline. You can see here, mine says social media editor, certified LinkedIn expert, legal marketing professional. Most people, and I bet most of you on this call, if you have a LinkedIn, yours will say something like, if it were my profile, marketing coordinator at Schoeneck and King, PLLC. Because what typically happens is when you add a job, it will just pull your title at company directly from that job posting and plop it into this headline here. And that's fine, but they already know that I work at Schoeneck and King because it shows up right here. And if they scroll down just a little bit, they can see what my title is. So I'd rather use this headline here as more of a description of what I do rather than what my title is. Because this headline here is one of the top searchable items on my profile page. And if you think about it, if somebody is searching for legal marketing Buffalo, they're going to see, when they get that big search queue back, they're going to see my photo, my name, location, and they're going to see my headline. This then tells them exactly what I do right in that search queue and gives them a little bit of insight. And yeah, I know how to work LinkedIn. So chances are they're going to click on my photo before anybody else's because I've made this change. And you have 120 characters, so you might as well use them. And I give some examples of how you can modify that. I personally like the little pipes in between them to really punch the different sections out. You can use commas, I've seen some people write an actual sentence here, that works too. Just really kind of modify it for you to show what you do rather than is what your title is. So this little section is going to be edited by this little pencil here. Let's see here. You can add any kind of things. If you need to modify your name, you can put it there. You can add pronouns now. The headline here, it will tell you when you get close to the 120 characters. So it won't let you save if you go over. So you can play around with this. Current position, your industry, education. So if you have a full list of different degrees, different stuff listed on your profile, you can choose which one shows at the top. For me, being in Buffalo, it makes sense to have my Buffalo law school degree at the top rather than my IUPUI one, because being in Buffalo, no one knows what IUPUI is. So I want to make sure that people know that I'm in this area. The other thing that's kind of a cool thing to add is when you add your postal code, it will default, for me, Buffalo, New York, which seems fine, but I can actually expand my reach and expand my network by choosing Buffalo, Niagara Falls area. You guys would have the same option. I want to say for Rochester, it says greater Rochester area. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it says. So you can that just helps expand your reach a little bit more. not as familiar with Rochester. As you can tell, I'm a transplant to Buffalo. So the best I can give example is if my zip code was Hamburg or Orchard Park, keep it Bills, keep it a little bit more relevant. If it was Orchard Park, that's people in the Buffalo area know that Orchard Park is Buffalo, but somebody outside of the area may not know. So having that kind of bigger reach area right up there at the top of your profile is really helpful. Another thing you can do here is edit your contact info. So for me, I have our bonds website right here. You could put a link if you have your own bio page on your website, you could add that on there as well. I don't add a phone number. It's phone number and address. Again, I would feel a little bit comfortable adding our firm address on there, maybe my phone number, but it is the internet. So just kind of keep that in mind as you choose that. So that's very much a personal choice, whether or not you'd like to add those things. Your email address, this does not get shown to everyone. You can change your settings to have it be visible to no one. You can have it be your setting be it's visible to only people you're connected with, or it could be visible to everyone. Completely up to you. Birthday, up to you, add on there. It's a good way to get people to interact with you on your birthday. Write a message because it does get blasted out to your news feed that today is your birthday. So that's a good way to kind of get a little bit of interaction. I personally chose not to put mine in there. Do you want to make sure you hit save whenever there is a save button? So that way you don't put in all your work and don't have it saved for you. So the next kind of thing we're going to show down here, your dashboard, which is this little blue section here. You can see here, 15 people have viewed my profile in the last, I don't know how many days, in past 90 days. You can see here, because I'm set to anonymous, I don't get to see the people who have viewed my profile page. Just goes back to the privacy settings that I was showing you. My post views. So this is we'll kind of get back to this, but this goes into things that I've shared, how many people have viewed those posts. I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about the networking and sharing stuff. This search appearances is different than people who have viewed your profile. These are, somebody is searching for something, probably in my case, marketing, probably something legal. It just kind of depends what it is. And I happen to pop up in the queue. So the higher this number is, the more likely they'll hopefully click on your profile page. So I've had 14. It doesn't tell you everything, but it tells me where some of my searchers work and what some of them do. So it's take it with a grain of salt, but it is kind of good to look at, because I can see here that marketing specialists and social media specialists made up the most of my searchers, which is good because that's what my profile is skewed to. Now, if it was all real estate broker, software developer, I don't know, medicine, healthcare, that kind of stuff, I would kind of think and maybe want to look at my profile thinking kind of with the mindset of, why am I popping up for healthcare stuff when I have nothing related to that on my profile? And maybe you go in, look at your skills, look at some of the keywords that you've included and realize, oops, I didn't mean to put that one in there. Oh, I could see how this one skews that way. So just something to keep in mind with that little stat there. So the next section that you're going to want to have is your about section. Used to be called your summary section, but they changed it. And I will say, so if you don't already have an about section put here, any section that you need to add on your profile is going to happen right here with the add section button, and you can add anything from here. So you definitely want to have this section filled out. Along with your headline, this is one of the other really big sections of your profile that helps with searchability, helps expand your network, your reach, everything, because this is the LinkedIn algorithms. It looks at your headline, your about section, and your work titles as your top 3 search terms. It does search your entire profile, but those 3 things are really the top 3. So this is where you get to kind of talk about you. This is where you can be a little selfish and kind of really sell yourself. I know a lot of people don't like to do it, but this is where, what kind of value do you bring? What do you bring to your clients? What kind of law do you do? What have you done in the past? Those sorts of things. This is where it's going to happen. Now, a lot of people, if they have an online bio, will copy and paste that over, which is fine, but you can see here, put it in first person. There's nothing quite like going to somebody's profile page. And for example, it says, having it be in third person. So it would read, as a law school graduate, Kate desired a career. It just sounds kind of funky, especially since we all know you wrote your profile page. So it just sounds a little funky. It is perfectly fine to put it in first person. It's not gonna, you can still write professionally without having the third person, having to be in first person. It just humanizes your page a little bit. It makes, this is a great opportunity for people to feel like they get to know you a little bit more, because I can guarantee if you have a very well written about section, people will read it. And it's a good opportunity. You can see I have a ton of keywords here. So research, writing, and editing, customer service, project management, those are rich keywords that are built right into my profile page. So my network and my searchability is really kind of building out there. Now, the only difference in how I ended my about section and how I would suggest you and yours is because I'm not a practicing attorney. I don't have, this is attorney advertising, prior results do not guarantee future outcomes, something along those lines. That's what we at Bond recommend for our attorneys to have on their profile page, because it keeps them in compliance with the New York State ethics guidelines. And having a catch-all sentence like that really kind of covers you throughout LinkedIn because it kind of, everything goes back to your profile page. It's just a little thing you can do to really kind of cover yourself on a platform like this. Because even though it is a professional site, it is really much a social media site now too. So having that kind of sentence to close out your about section just really kind of helps you out there. So then we come down to your experience. You definitely want to add as much as you can here, because these little logos here, you can see Bond, you see Career Partners, you can see UB here, Damon. Those little logos aren't just for show. They are clickable links. So you can see here, it takes me directly to the Career Partners page. And those clickable links don't just take you to the page, because they are on your profile page. That grows my network. So my network is now 4 or 5 places bigger because I have included them on there. And another little thing you can do is any job added is going to happen. It's going to happen with this little plus sign. So if you get a new role, say you go from staff attorney to member, you make that jump, or associate to senior associate to member, whatever it is, kind of your trajectory was. Don't just have your top job there. So you can see I have marketing coordinator here, but say, for example, my title changed because my role changed a little bit. And I want to add in that now I'm the social media, and it auto fills a whole bunch of stuff for you. So it kind of helps you. And you definitely, as much as you can stay within something that auto fills for you, the better, because it's auto filling from their LinkedIn's most popular titles, most popular, whatever it may be. So let's say marketing specialist. That's what my job switched to. You can fill all of the stuff. The other thing here, I'm going to still type in Bond, Schoeneck, and King. So you can see it starts to autofill with suggestions for me. Definitely choose the one with the right logo. There could be companies with the same name. I'm going to say I'm in Buffalo, currently working this role, start date 2021. You don't have to put months if you don't want to. Looks like you do because it's the drop downs here, but you actually don't have to. And then I'm not going to end it just because I don't want to mess anything up too much. And then I can hit save. And you can see that what LinkedIn does is it kind of files everything really neatly under one posting for that company. So you definitely want to list as much as you can, because like I had mentioned, It's your headline, your about section, and your job titles that help with your searchability on LinkedIn. So as many titles as you can get onto your profile page, the better. Now, if you make a mistake, you want to delete it, just delete it out, which I'm going to do right now. So everything goes back to the way that it was. You can add a description. It is helpful. This could be where you, again, copy and paste from your bio if you want to. Up to you for that. You can see I don't have a description here, but I do for my past jobs. And you don't feel like you have too many jobs listed on here. It's not a bad thing. You want to, like I said, you want to grow that network as much as possible. So go back as far as you want to. They're free, like, for example, on your resume, they say to go back 15 years, 20 years max, depending on that. If you want to go back further on LinkedIn, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to, but as much as you want to add of relevant experience, that's kind of the key there. You don't want to put in there that in college you were delivering pizzas or something, because that's not relevant to where you are today. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're adding jobs in. And then scrolling down here to education, add as much as you can. Do the same thing of linking the right school. Some schools will have multiple listings. So like, for example, like UB, you can see University at Buffalo. If I type that in there, they have a bunch of different schools that I could, so I wanted to make sure that I had School of Law listed on there instead of just UB, because I want to get not just into the whole UB network, but very specifically into the School of Law one. You can also add any licenses and certifications that you want to put on here. You can see these also do link up to networks into companies. So you can definitely want to get that to add in your experience there. One thing I personally don't have on my profile here, but I want to make sure that I explain to you, is adding volunteer experience. Oops. This is where, because I have come across a lot of people's profile pages where they put board experience into their work experience, and that's fine, but it doesn't really belong there. I'd like to highlight that for other people directly into this volunteer experience. So for example, let's just keep it easy. Say I'm a board member for the American Red Cross. You can again fill out as much information as you want here. Start date, you can add a description, kind of your role on the board, what you've helped do. But when I save it, it's going to file itself. These little pop-ups, get rid of those. File itself right here under my licenses and certifications. So you can, any board work, even past board work, because board participation is a great thing to show on your LinkedIn profile. And again, all about building that network. You're going to get sick of me saying that. So this is a great opportunity and a great place to put that information. Again, I'm going to delete this since it's not true for my profile page. The next section here is your skills and endorsements. This is one place that, again, you need to talk to your firm to see what their policy is. Our firm policy is either to turn this section off, turn the endorsements off, or have very carefully curated skill section, because you can put anything here. Like I could say that I am an expert at underwater basket weaving and people could endorse me for that, but then I could get dinged by the ethics committee, the state, because it's not necessarily I'm saying I'm an expert in this when I'm really not. So that's kind of one way that you want to kind of protect yourself here. This is one section because it doesn't happen this way anymore. So it's very rare. But the way that LinkedIn used to work is that something would pop up on your homepage where it would say, do you want to endorse Kate for XYZ? And people would just go, yes, 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 without even reading what those were. So for example, social media marketing, Marty here doesn't know what I do. he doesn't know if I'm good at social media marketing. So that's not necessarily a good endorsement. Whereas Kathleen is a good endorsement for my skill there. So I can go, you can see here, I can mark Marty's as hidden if I wanted to. So that's what I mean when I say a very carefully curated endorsement list here. If you just want to play it safe, just turn off your endorsements. It's going to happen with the little pencil here. You see this. This is also where you can delete any old skills that you want to take off your profile page. But I can adjust my endorsement settings and I can say, I want to be endorsed, just turn that off. And then all the endorsements will go away. So again, that's our firm policy. You would just need to check to see what your firm policy would be. So that's the extent of my profile. So I can add other sections that will then live under my skills section here in my add section. You've got this accomplishment section, which it has 9 different, I think that's right, 9 different sections. So any publications. So like for our firm, our attorneys write a lot of info memos that get sent out to clients. That would be a great thing to put on your profile page, because in publications, you can put a publication URL. So I suggest to our attorneys, put the title. You don't have to put a publisher on here. You can just put the title, the publication date, and then put a link directly to that info memo that will then live on their profile page, or any kind of big law journal writings, anything, articles, something like that, you could definitely put on your profile page. Anything else here? Patents, courses, projects that you've worked on, honors and awards, keep that. Maybe community, or if they're, again, you don't want to just add things on your profile to add them. You want to make sure they're relevant and helpful for you in your career. So like, for example, if best and super lawyers, those would be good things to kind of add on here. Test scores, languages, organizations, causes, organizations. This would be, you're not on the board, but you just happen to volunteer for a local community organization. That's what you could put in here if you really wanted to, or you're a member of SHRM or something like that. You could put that on in this section. Languages, I will say, I have had somebody try to put Klingon on this before. I had them take that off, since it's not because I grew up watching Star Wars over Star Trek, but because you want to kind of keep this, again, professional in a way. The other person, you don't need to put English on here. And it's just kind of assumed if your profile's in English based on your location that you don't need to put that on there. So that is your profile. Mine is, even though I'm missing some questions or missing some sections, the accomplishment sections at the end, I'm not really missing anything. I still have pretty good searchability because I've got a good mix of keywords, and the section that I do have are completely filled out. I think so you can see I'm an AllStar here. If I wasn't an AllStar, it would tell me some sections to fill out to really kind of complete my profile page. AllStar really doesn't mean anything. It just means that I'd have a complete profile in LinkedIn world. So before I move on to the networking part, does anybody have any questions about the profile itself? No? Okay. So now I'm going to work on go on to you've got your well-developed profile page, kind of now what? Somebody I worked with a couple years ago would come to my office and say, I have my profile, it's completely filled out. I know it was completely filled out because I helped him fill it out. And he's like, I'm still not getting more people viewing my profile page. I'm not getting people reaching out to me. I'm not getting the search appearances. And I asked him, like, well, are you interacting with people? Are you sharing things? Are you liking stuff? Are you interacting with companies? Like, no, I don't do that because I don't do social media. And so the marketing yourself and really kind of what you have to do to put a LinkedIn game really is social media. And I will tell you, he did not like the fact that he needed to go in and like pages, like do stuff, interact, comment on things. But as soon as he did, I can tell, I think it was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later, he's like, my search appearances is up 50%. I've got way more people. I'm like, don't want to say I told you so, but you do kind of need to play the LinkedIn game. The more you can play the LinkedIn game, the more the algorithm is going to like you, and the more it's going to push you up in search queues, the more that it's going to get you in front of more people. So in order to do that, I'm going to kind of come back to my homepage here and kind of talk about how this works. So this Veronica, I don't know who this is. I'm not connected to her. I'm not anything like that, but I am connected to Herbert. So I am seeing Veronica's post because Herbert liked it. So that is LinkedIn, where it almost has a mushroom effect for if you play the LinkedIn game. So if I were to share a post like Veronica did, I could have, I don't know how many connections I have, over 500, whatever. Let's just say it's 500. If I have a LinkedIn post and no one comments on it, no one likes it, the most number of eyes that I can have see that post is 500, because that's my network. It would just go directly to their page. But if I had 3 likes on it and I had 5 or 6 comments, it's going to show up on other people's news feeds just like this. So I could have all of a sudden a post that has 1,200 views, 2,000 views, depending on the people who like and comment it. So it is a very powerful way for me to expand my reach in kind of an easy way. Because what a lot of people do as well is they just share things. So for example, and I have our firm page here popped up, and I have it on a post that did really well for us, and a Rochester native here, Justin. So you can see here, our page has about 4,000 or so followers. And I mean, I think a typical post for us, because I do post quite frequently, we put out a lot of information, is a good one. I would say maybe 400 views, something like that, a couple interactions. This one has 4,500 because 117 people liked it and 24 people commented. And you can see here, I tagged Justin in it. So I'm playing the game when I post this because I tag him. I have a link here. I could have also added hashtags, which are the bane of everyone's existence, but hashtags are very powerful tools because, again, they're playing that LinkedIn game. You're kind of helping grow that post, the visibility. And you can see I posted this over 2 weeks ago, and I am still getting likes on it. I'm still getting people commenting on it. I'm getting those notifications. Why? Because they're seeing it pop up on their newsfeed because one of these other 117 people liked it, and I just so happened to pop up on their newsfeed. And it is very easy to kind of share things from a company. It's very easy to share things from a company page. That's a good way to kind of start if you want to share this information. And sharing posts, sharing your own content is helpful because it really kind of helps market you as a thought leader, especially if you're sharing very good, relevant information. Plus, it helps out your firm if you're sharing out their information, not just coming from a social media manager of a firm, but it does help out when our people share out our information. So this is what a firm company page looks like. And I can see here the posts, and you can kind of filter it different ways. It does it by top, but you could also put it in chronological order. It happens to be the same post for me right now. But if, for example, this info memo that I posted today by one of our attorneys about contractor portals is something that you think your network, your clients, whoever it may be who follows you, would find really helpful, you can share that. It's a very easy click of a button, hit that share button. It already auto-populates this post for you. You can write something. I recommend writing something, but you don't have to. You'll see all the time that people don't write anything on things that they share. They just kind of share it out, but it just kind of adds your own little thoughts to it, kind of pull out the relevant information. If you want to tag somebody, in it, you can do that as well. If you want to tag somebody, it's just the @ symbol, and then it'll start to say, I want to tag Allison, and then it shows up that way. If I didn't tag her, it would just show up unbolded. Just kind of the difference there. If I wanted to add my little, whatever my test comment is, say that's a really insightful thought there, and I wanted to add a hashtag, so you're just going to do the pound symbol, and I'm going to do OFCCP. So that then becomes a searchable term. And when I post it, which I'm not going to do, but when I post it, it turns blue, and I can click on it and it takes me to any other post across LinkedIn that has this same hashtag. So again, the more you can do to expand your reach, the better. So sharing posts, another super simple thing to do that really, again, helps with your playing the LinkedIn game is simply liking and commenting on things. So say, for example, this is a congratulatory post instead of somebody looking for a jeweler. I can like it. I've got other actually different emojis I can use now. I can support, love, insightful, curious. I personally just tend to go with the like, but I kind of like the older way of doing things there. Or I could write a comment. So I could say, I don't know who posted this, David. Congrats, David. Let's catch up soon. Something like that. And if he's doing LinkedIn right, he will respond. And if it's the whole point of LinkedIn is not just to live on this online platform. The whole point of it is to then take it into the real world. So you want to network with people and kind of get something set up. And then you want to kind of, let's meet for coffee, socially distance if necessary. However, it's very different now, but you really kind of want to interact with people. So if, for example, you post something and you've got 6 comments on it, go in and reach out to each of those people. It doesn't necessarily have to be on that post. If you want to send somebody a message, we do have direct messaging system here. So you can take it off privately, or you can just say, thanks, let's catch up soon. Something easy as that on the post itself. It's a very simple thing to do. None of this stuff, probably the most time you're going to spend on LinkedIn is getting your profile developed. The rest of it, if you take 15, 20 minutes a week, go in, kind of sift through your news feed here. Again, this has it sorted by top, but I can switch it to recent. You can kind of sift through things here, throw some likes up, maybe add a couple comments. Maybe you read an article recently that you thought was really helpful and you want to share that. So I want to see here, just to kind of show you, sorry, this is a little bit different, but you can share URLs. So say, for example, insightful comment. Again, pretend that it's a really insightful thought there. And then check out the full article here, or the same works for events. If your firm has an event or the organization you're a board member for is holding their annual gala and you want to kind of share it, get it out there to everyone, you could then share that URL. And you don't actually have to keep that URL. You copy and paste it in there. You can see that auto populates for me. Sometimes it will have a nice photo attached with it, just depending on how the website's set up, or it will just put that link in there. And I can change this to below now that I have the article popped up there. And then you can get the URL deleted out there, just because some URLs can be like 3 or 4 lines long. They're really got a whole bunch of junk in them and it just looks a little sloppy. Again, this is me just being kind of nitpicky at this point. Go ahead and put the URL in there. It's really not the end of the world, but this is an easy way to kind of clean up that post. You do get more LinkedIn kudos for just posting an insightful comment or an insightful thought without a link, but I'd say not enough to say that you always have to post some really deep thought on LinkedIn. Use it however you want. In this case, I think it's helpful to share out information. Just kind of know that your connections and stuff, they will value you even more if you're sharing out really helpful information for them, and helpful events that they may want to attend, or webinars, or whatever it may be. The more you post, the more they're going to start looking to you. And actually, the more LinkedIn's going to like you. So the more that they're going to see your information. Just to kind of see if I can find a hashtag in here. Yep, here we go. These are what hashtags look like when they're on a post. And you can see I can click on it. And I can see that people actually follow this hashtag. So whenever something with a post with this hashtag pops up, it goes straight to the top of their news feed because it's something that they follow. So that's kind of the sharing stuff. The other kind of question that I get a lot is about connections and connecting to people. This is a very, okay, again, this is a personal decision, kind of how you want to connect to people. Obviously, you want to get connected to pretty much anyone in your network, like close people within your network, people at your firm, people that you work with, people that you've worked with in the past, just because you don't want to close those doors. I have had people come up to me and ask, should I unconnect with everyone that I used to work with? No, absolutely not. Because you never know who's going to kind of pop up in the future. Oh, I know you did XYZ kind of law. I have a conflict and I need somebody. I know you do good work. You just never know when that kind of stuff will pop up. Getting connected to people, if you get random requests, it's completely up to you. My personal philosophy is, if they're in the Buffalo area and they do kind of similar work that I do, yeah, I'll get connected to them. Because I went to law school, I'll get a lot of random lawyers from across the US reach out to me. I can't help them, they can't help me. It just kind of case by case basis. There are bots on LinkedIn because it is an online social media platform. But you can tell pretty quickly who those are, usually outside of the US. And if you just click on their profile to just take a look at it, it's usually just a name. There's usually nothing else on their profile. So kind of just use your best judgment there. I know somebody who will only get connected to people that they've met with. So if they get a connection and they don't say, oh, we met at XYZ networking event, or we met here, we worked together on this project. She'll say, well, I'd love to get connected to you, but I'd like to have coffee with you first. So it's just really trying to form that personal relationship with. So kind of use your own discretion there, kind of what feels good to you. There is no right answer to how many followers or how many connections you should have. Obviously, the more that you have, the bigger your network is, and the bigger the reach that you'll have, but there is no right or wrong answer there. Just keep in mind that it is still a social media platform. I personally, and keep your post to that level. There's a lot of pictures with quotes. You don't need to post pictures with quotes. Doesn't help anybody here on LinkedIn, but a post sharing a new regulation that just went out and that you think would help your clients, that is a really helpful post to share out. So that's pretty much it that I have for LinkedIn. I know it's a lot. I know I talk fast. So if you have any questions, I've got 13 more minutes on this call. So I wanted to leave in time for questions. If there's something that you specifically want me to show you how to do, hopefully I have the answer to that. Or if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them now.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. What do you think about the kind of auto sharing if you post on Facebook that you can also share to LinkedIn?
I don't like it.
I don't either. That's why I'm asking, but I don't want to see things twice, basically.
Yeah.
But...
So I haven't seen anything about that on LinkedIn. My guess is that it's that's a Facebook setting. I haven't come across that on LinkedIn, kind of how to share both. Do you mean like you post something and all of a sudden, because I personally, when I post for our firm, I post the same thing across 3 different platforms, only because we have different followers on all 3 different platforms. Is that
Yes.
what you mean, or do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so for the organization,
Oh, okay.
doing
So
it
I
on.
personally was thinking you were thinking personal ones. I'm like, oh my gosh, I keep my Facebook and my LinkedIn very separate. I don't.
Yeah, no, I do too. Yeah. But
So,
for,
okay. I think it depends. So for example, like I mentioned, our firm, let me pull up here. Our firm has 4,300 followers. On Facebook, we have 700, something like that. And they are very different people. But I also, so I tend to post the same thing, like an info memo, something like that. Yeah, I will share the same thing across 3 different platforms, because I get very different interaction on those 3 different platforms. We did a food drive at the firm or something like that. Or one of our offices did a fun party. Our Rochester office does a lot of fun stuff. So Karen sends me a lot of information. I'll post that mainly just to Facebook, because it's not necessarily kind of that. It just doesn't feel quite as good on LinkedIn. Also, I have more freedom to post more on Facebook and Twitter than I do LinkedIn. It's not good to post 6-7 times on LinkedIn, but if I wanted to post 25 times on Twitter a day, I'm not bugging anybody, because there's so many people on Twitter. Yeah, I don't, for the firm, it doesn't bother me to post the same thing across the different platforms, because there's just, our followers are so different. I hope that helps.
yes, thank you. So it's basically looking at who your followers are on both.
Yeah. So a lot of, mostly the people on LinkedIn, they are clients. They are people that we want to get this info memo out to. Facebook, a lot of our staff members follow us on Facebook. They're actually the ones, staff members and attorneys, they're the ones that interact with our Facebook page. I very rarely will get company interaction. If it is company or client interaction, it's usually because of some thing that we're sponsoring, and the sponsoring company will interact with the post. But yeah, no, it doesn't bother me to post across all 3 platforms the same.
Okay, and then one other question, is there a way to, on Facebook, you can schedule posts?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to do that on LinkedIn? Because again, this would be for the organization, not my personal LinkedIn.
So I don't think there's a way to do it on LinkedIn. I use Hootsuite. So it's a social media scheduler, and manage. It's a free site. I find it to be the easiest one to use. So that's what I do to schedule for LinkedIn. I'd actually do it. I use it for all of them. I find it easier to use than the Facebook scheduler.
Okay. And what is the name again?
Hootsuite.
Okay.
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
There. And who is this talking?
Hi, Louise Spinelli. I'm with.
Okay, so I see your comment here. Will you please cover some tips for small firms that don't necessarily have a dedicated marketing person? I mean, I guess I am the dedicated marketing person, but I do a lot of other things. Social media is just one very small part. Do what you can. I mean, just share out. And I think actually Hootsuite would be a really good tool for you if you don't have, because you can kind of, like, if it were just me doing everything, you could see like, okay, here's what our firm put out last week. Here are 5 articles that we put out. Okay, so Friday, I'm going to schedule for the next week. Here's what I'm going to post for that week, and get them all out the following week. So I think that could be a really good tool for you, the scheduling. Any other questions, comments? concerns? I know it's a lot. And unfortunately with LinkedIn, it's one of those platforms that you really kind of have to get in and get your hands dirty before you can kind of come up with questions and that kind of stuff. Okay, I think, Danielle, that we're all set then. I don't think we have any other questions.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Excuse me, I'm gonna go ahead and end the webinar now, but we did record. So if anyone needs to watch it back to kind of go through Kathryn's tips again, it'll be available on our website. So thank you and have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.